Is I'm going to start our meeting with reading our nonpartisanship statement, which is what we do for every meeting. The League acts in support of or in opposition to selected governmental issues which its members have studied. It does not support or oppose candidates, factions, or political parties. League members as individuals are urged to work in the political party of their choice. To protect the League's nonpartisanship policy, guidelines regarding the political activities of the board of directors are reviewed frequently. The League of Women Voters of Pullman is fully committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion in principle and practice. These concepts are central to our current and future success in engaging all individuals, households, communities, and policymakers in creating a more perfect democracy. We acknowledge and honor the first people of the Palouse region and their descendants, including our neighbors, the Nez Perce, Colville, and Coeur d'Alene tribes. So, so I would like to introduce, for those of you who haven't had a chance to meet Karen, just a little bit of an introduction, and then she will tell us a little more about herself. So just to start off, Karen was elected as the State League president at our 2025 convention in Vancouver, and some of us got to be there. She joined the Snohomish County League in 2017 and became a member of the Snohomish County Board of Directors, serving as their local league president in 2023. She leads the local candidate forum team and has served on the statewide redistricting reform task force for the past 7 years. And so now, Karen, give us a little more
I'll
history.
tell you more. First of all,
Tell
thank
us
you so
more.
much. Thank you, Tricia, for inviting me. And it's great to see. I've seen many of you. We've Zoomed together, haven't we? In a number of times, but it's lovely to be here with you. So yes, I joined the league maybe like some of you when I retired, and my career was a 30 plus year career with nonprofit organizations. I worked for in here in Snohomish County. I worked for Big Brothers Big Sisters. I worked for 20 years for United Way of Snohomish County. I actually led their campaign. I was their resource development, their vice president of resource development, and worked for Edmonds Center for the Arts, which is, again, beautiful theater here in Snohomish County. So I have a long background in doing community work, and through my time with United Way, actually had this wonderful opportunity to work very closely with many of our corporate government and nonprofit leaders, and loved the work, but then retired. And I'm sure many of you have as well. And when I retired, I asked the question, it's an opportunity when you retire to actually choose what it is that you want to do.
Mhm.
And as I reflected on that, it was interesting because I realized now every day is my own, which means only I am responsible for what I do with that day, right? Yeah, and I really spent time thinking about what I cared about because I knew from my perspective that I knew I'd be doing some kind of engaged work. I didn't know what it was. But as I reflected, I realized that what I cared deeply about was the health of our democracy. And I was invited to attend a league reception with members, a new membership meeting. Had a wonderful time. I was deeply impressed by the quality of the members that I met, uh, and by the commitment to study, research, and grounding in fact and knowledge, and then the commitment to action. So those things for me landed me here, and started working with my local league, and sort of off it goes. You all know how it is. You join the league and immediately they say, well, you could lead this, or why don't you do this, or we need somebody to take this on. How about if you're willing to do that? And of course we all said yes, right? Otherwise you wouldn't be here. So off it went. And I do find I enjoy strategic work. I enjoy systems. And one of the things that I've been really sharing with all of the leagues as I've been visiting around the state is this need for us always to understand and see the league as a really cohesive system. Because I know when you first start, we're all deeply committed to our local league, and that's absolutely that's as it should be. We understand our communities. We're building relationships locally. We're doing the education work and all that in our own local communities. So rewarding. But the power of the league really is in this federated system that we are a part of, which means we can be highly effective in our local communities, and that powers up to being effective at the state level and actually working on state level issues. And then, as we've seen from our national organization, the capacity to do real work at the national level. And I admire and respect the fact that we have those levels. We have authority to work at each of those levels, and we're able to make a difference. So I brought some information to share with you, and I'm going to share my screen. And I'm going to step through what I wanted to do and have been doing around the state is just sharing a little bit of my perspective on what I'm seeing at the national level and what's rising to the top, and making sure that we all see ourselves as part of that work. And then I want to share with you what's happening at the state level, and then bring that down to really some very specific actions. Now, hopefully, if you're reading some of our newsletters, and Paul, I see you at our monthly presidents meetings, and Tricia too. Some of this will be familiar to you, but I'm going to go through it, and then I'm totally open to questions. So if you want to put questions in chat, maybe Tricia, you could monitor that and have this be a conversation.
Sure.
The first piece to really acknowledge is that all of us in the league are leaders in challenging times. And it is simply a reality. I cannot remember a time, although when I think back to the 60s and 70s when I was certainly protesting the Vietnam War, and I think what we have lived through in our lifetimes, I have to say I've not seen a time in my lifetime when our democracy has seemed to be so challenged. And I think we're all feeling that. And I think one of the benefits of being in the league is working with people who have that shared concern and are wanting to do something about it. So let me just do a little bit of an overview of what I'm seeing at the national level. And I hope you're feeling this. I have been so heartened by the courage of our national leadership, the willingness to take strong positions, and to encourage us to do the same. So I think you all know that the league declared that our country was in a constitutional crisis candidly long before many other organizations were willing to say that. As I think pundits were sort of still dithering about, well, the league said no. We are seeing a real challenge to our Constitution, and we need to acknowledge that. We are seeing threats to voting rights at the national level, at the state level, at the local level. You've certainly, I hope, read the national call to action opposing the SAVE Act and the efforts that are consistently now flowing across the country to require documentary proof of citizenship. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. We've been sharing with you about what's happening in Washington in that regard. But these are very real threats to voting rights, and very real attempts to actually throw voters off the voting rolls and take away folks' rights to vote. You may have been watching, and I hope there's a case before the Supreme Court, Louisiana versus Calais, and there's links in this, which I can send this to you, Tricia, and there's links out. But we've talked about a lot of this in the Resisting Threats to Democracy newsletter. But this is a case that may throw out Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, which is one of the remaining strongholds for preserving right to vote in this country and pushing back against limitations on voting. So the Supreme Court has heard the case. We expect that there'll be a decision made this next year, and the league is watching it closely. Here in Washington State and across the country, we have experienced changes to our naturalization ceremony. Now, this doesn't affect the Pullman League, but there are 5 leagues across Washington State who have been very engaged in registering new citizens as part of the naturalization ceremony. And in August of this last year, there was an executive order that came out that said the league is no longer allowed to participate. Not the league specifically, but any nonprofit is no longer allowed to do voter registration at these ceremonies. The reality is the League of Women Voters has been the most active, visible, and present nonprofit, nonpartisan nonprofit participating in these ceremonies across the nation. And here in Washington State, 5 of our leagues have been participating. In fact, I was just in Spokane, and they since 2019 they have participated in 94 naturalization ceremonies. Our Spokane League alone, and registered over 1,400 new citizens as voters. So these are joyful ceremonies. The League of Women Voters US, along with 2 other state leagues and 3 local leagues, has sued the administration, basically saying it is a violation of our free speech rights that we cannot be there, and also that they did not follow due process, that it was capricious and arbitrary. So this is a very lively case that is going forward. The concern that we see nationally is that this is part of a pattern. As we look at all of these threats, it's part of a pattern to simply disenfranchise people, to not give folks who have every right to vote the right to vote. So that's a very real threat. And of course, the league has taken a strong stance against what we're seeing in deportations, calling them shameful and dangerous deportations without due process. And finally, have you been following redistricting across the nation? I will tell you, I think until this year, most people in this country knew nothing about redistricting, and now we're seeing it as a political weapon. And so, as you know, the league took a very strong stand saying mid-cycle redistricting is wrong. And then, of course, it started to happen. So the league has given some strong guidance saying, all right, if you're going to choose to do this, make sure you are not harming communities who are underserved and underrepresented. And so they actually put out a series of what they called a redistricting scorecard that gave what should be included in best practice redistricting processes. And of course, we're seeing this happen across the state. I will just share with you one of my observations about that is that I think that there's a lot of assumptions being made that if you put people in boxes, we know how they're going to vote. And I would suggest to you, in this situation right now, we have no idea how folks are going to vote in the next election. And I think folks may be very surprised by what happens. So again, so much happening at the national level. They are giving us clear direction on what we can do. And we're sharing that with you. So, and you've all been hearing about the Unite and Rise series of playbooks. These have been in response to what we're seeing across the country. We're currently in Unite and Rise Playbook 3, and every one of these, they last for a 3-month period, and we get great direction on the way we might respond at this point. And so this playbook, and I'd be really interested in hearing from some of you, this playbook is all about building partnerships and working in coalitions in our communities with the folks who are also concerned about the threats to democracy. So they're running a series of trainings. The first one happened in November. There are 2 more, and the links are here, and we've been putting them in the Resisting Threats to Democracy newsletter, and it was in most recent in League. I think that we will all benefit by some good training on how, in fact, we do act as good allies and partners in coalition with other folks in our communities. So I would encourage you to attend these trainings. They are recorded. And I think they may be helpful tips on how to do this well, because, coalition work and even partnership work, as you know, is it can be challenging. It can be challenging. We have our series of work, and then all of a sudden you're layering somebody else's work on top of it, and you're building new relationships, and relationships take time. So one of the questions I had for you at this point, and I want to say one other thing, and then I want to have a conversation with you all. Nationally, the league just announced, and I hope you know this, 3 national partnerships with these 3 organizations that you see here. So they're formal partnerships. The National League has said, yes, all of us are included in the opportunity. The National Council of Jewish Women. They don't seem to have any chapters here in Washington State. AAUW, the American Association of University Women. And I will tell you, we've reached out to each other already. I spoke to their branch presidents about 10 days ago, and we've invited their president to come and speak to our president at our president's call next Monday. So we are looking at opening that door. And what I'm saying to local leagues is, if you have an AAUW, they have 19 branches. They're very similar to the league, 19 branches across Washington State. And I've encouraged them to reach out to local leagues in their area so that you can begin to explore together what might it look like. I know in Snohomish County, we have worked with them on developing on our candidate forum work, on developing good questions. They're wonderful at creating good questions for our forums. So there's an opportunity. And then finally, the YWCA. And if you have a YWCA in your community, you might consider reaching out and seeing if ways could we work together? Could we work with them on youth voting, on educating, doing some civic education? So I was going to stop here and just ask if, at this point, Tricia and Paul or anyone, what partnerships do you have that you think might be enhanced or that you're already working on? And you may or may not. Are you working with school districts? Are you working with civics teachers? What do you got? I see Tricia, but you're on mute. There you go.
Deb, I want you to talk about the civic education project that we do, and also voter registration, because you're very involved with both.
Yeah. Well, this is our 5th year for doing our countywide student art project. And we take our topics directly from our textbooks.
Excellent.
So yes, our first year we talked about what does democracy mean? The second one was the chapter on the natural world and, policies. We got a lot of artwork related to that. The third year we did why does voting matter? Actually, 2 of the first, we don't give out first, second, and third. We just say these are the winners, and we have.
Oh, that's great. That's
and
great.
We have outside people come and choose the artwork, the winners. And that year we had Sandy Jameson, our auditor, come and be one of the judges, and she chose 2 pieces of the artwork to put on the county voter guide. So
that's
she was
great.
Yeah,
that's
and
great.
The 4th year, last year, was Native America and in the USA. And that was out of the textbook, of course.
Yep.
And I'm not going to tell you what this year is, but it's
because you haven't announced it yet?
We announced it always on President's Day.
All right, so I wouldn't give it away.
So I'm not
but you're working on it.
But we're
so
working on, and part of that is we do a civics education program. It's a PowerPoint that's always on the website. All the past ones are on the website. So you can go and look at what the PowerPoints that we've done in the past are like. And
That's
and
great.
we try and get into as many places as possible. We were with the Y, but then they left.
Oh, do you have a YWCA at all in
No,
your
not
area?
really.
Yeah. Of course,
not
Girl
very
Scouts,
active at all.
Girl Scouts.
But we're trying to get, we're trying to get these so that we can give them to a 3rd grader and also present to like, we're going to try and present to like Kiwanis and
Good.
because, they have weekly meetings and maybe they'd be interested in these programs. And last year we gave it to our league and we're going to give it to our league again, the PowerPoint presentation. And
Yes, good. So
um,
you have active partnerships, school districts
yeah,
and
and
auditor offices. Yeah.
one of the, we're also a partner with the civic engagement on campus, the
Oh,
CCE.
okay. So communities and schools or something civic engagement campus. Is that a
It's
At
local?
WSU.
oh, I can't remember what it is. Anyway, it's on every WSU campus has
Yeah,
it,
it's
and
it's the
most of the
Center
other
Oh,
for
campuses.
Civic
excellent.
Engagement. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, which means that we can go on and be in a building doing voter registration. We don't have to sit out in the weather.
That's
And
a
a
good
lot of
thing.
times they partner with us. They have interns that need. We've always worked they have a voting hub on the election.
Oh, good. They are one of the hubs. Okay,
Yes,
great.
they're one of the
Good, good,
hubs.
good. Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
we've worked them at those every year that they've been doing them. So
So I
Yeah.
mean, you've got all of these partnerships and
we
you made,
tried. We were in the high school, but then
yeah,
COVID hit,
yeah.
and the teacher who was our contact retired. Um, I do know the name of the civics teacher, and we've gone up there once, one semester. We usually go and take over the class, all the classes in one day.
Hmm.
But it's, trying to connect and find time. It's really
Oh,
hard. I need,
that is the challenge with partnerships. I mean, it just takes a
it
tremendous amount of
takes
time.
more time than I'm sometimes willing to put in.
I
Well,
understand.
I think the other one that Deb has cultivated over the years is with our library.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
And
fabulous.
and
Yeah.
because that's where we hold our candidate forums.
Hmm.
And
Yes.
they have been wonderful partners. I mean, they set up the room. I mean, they've just, and they advertise it. They've been great
That's
partners.
great. That's great. So
Yeah.
you're no stranger to this, but I
No.
think we are being challenged, and we're also being challenged, I think, to look deeper through a DEI lens to say where are there organizations that are working with a more diverse population that we really don't have an association with. So it's just interesting to think about that. Um,
Right.
so I encourage
One of
you
the
to keep it up.
one of
Libby.
the flip sides is sometimes we're approached by organizations
Mhm.
who on the surface seem like they'd be good partners, but they're so committed to one side of the political spectrum
Yes.
that we don't want to run the risk of being identified as, oh, that's just another one of those organizations. And so we
Yeah.
have to say thank you, but no thank you. So we study the organizations that approach us to make sure that they're appropriate.
I think that's really important. Although what I would say too to consider is if um, as you've seen, I think with the No Kings rally and some of these other things, just because an organization might not be fully nonpartisan doesn't mean that we
Mhm.
couldn't partner on very
Right.
specific work. And
Right.
if you can find a place that you can
Mhm.
do that work together, it might be worthwhile. So it's good to remember that you don't have to be completely aligned, but you do have to, I agree, you do have to be thoughtful and cautious. Yeah. Okay, so well, thank you for that. I'm going to jump back in. The next thing I wanted to share with you, and again, I do know that Paul and Tricia have seen this, but I want to make sure that you know it as well. So the board held this new board. The statewide board held a board retreat in July, right after convention. We came together for an in-person retreat, and it was great because we needed to get to norming and forming. It's a new board. You need to get to know each other. So we built our list of strategic priorities for this biennium of how did we want to, and the program of work continues, right? The educational projects that continues, all of that work. But we said, what does this board really want to lift up and make sure we're focusing on? And so we came up with 5 strategic priorities, and in some ways they're not new, but each board, I think, needs to be very clear-eyed about what it is that you want to focus on. And so we really knew that we needed to strengthen operational infrastructure. And we heard very loudly and clearly at convention, local leagues telling us, you know, you're getting more money from national with this new due structure. They sustained the amount, the percentage going to local leagues. So they didn't touch that, but they did significantly reduce the amount they were taking, and they gave it to states because across the country, national observed that state leagues really needed more resources to do strong work. So, but we're taking very clearly to heart your question of saying, and what are you doing with that extra money? So we have our first two strategic priorities are really looking at our staffing and technology needs and committing to adding capacity if it is needed, where it is needed to grow our impact statewide. I don't know if you know what our staffing is right now. Anybody know what the staff is at the State League? It's 1.5 people. We are really lucky to have Amy Piloff, who I would imagine a number of you have worked with. And Amy is, we are so fortunate. She's just terrific to work with and has a wide range of skills that are serving us well. And then we have a part-time communications person, and her name is Carolyn Stewart. She actually is a member of the Whatcom Bellingham League and does communications for them and also does communications for us. And so she does particularly to our social media, great skills and terrific to work with. So that's our total staff, 1.5 FTEs. And so we're looking at that and saying, what is that sufficient? And what would expanded staff look like? We're asking that question. And of course, along with that comes this second priority, which is if you grow staff, well, how are you going to grow the resources to support that? And hence comes the survey that Tricia has seen. I'm sure Paul has seen. Well, I hope you all saw it. We sent the survey out to all local leagues, and this was developed working with local leagues. So we built a committee, an ad hoc committee. We listened to what you said at convention and pulled together 3 local league leaders and then 3 board members to begin to answer the question, what are you doing with that money? And so the first thing we did is built this survey out to you to find out, what do you value and use that the state is currently producing for you, the work that we're doing? And really important, ask the question, and what more do you need that the state could provide? And we've now gotten responses back. I'm proud to say we've heard from every single league. I only have one league that I haven't heard from, a very small league. And I've even heard from our member at large units. So that committee has that information. We are now consolidating it. We're going to take it to the board of directors and we'll see what that tells us. We do know that even just doing the survey, we found that local leagues discovered some resources that were available to them and you all through the State League that they didn't know was there. And we knew that was true because the State League actually does a great deal. So we are working on that. And we'll take the overall summary and results on what you told us to the board, and then we'll see where that takes us. But I want you to know we're listening. And we are asking these very big questions.
Karen?
Yes.
Yeah, we actually have someone in our midst who took that on for the Pullman League.
Oh,
and
excellent.
That is Susan Daniels, who's with
Hello, Susan, with Paul.
With Paul. Yep. And she and I think Alice, one of our 50-year plus board members,
fabulous,
did that for us and gathered that information and submitted it. So very grateful to Susan and Alice for
thank you. And I mean, we know that was extra work on top of work you have. So Susan, if you have anything that you want to share with me in addition to what you put in the survey, I'm certainly willing to listen. I hope it wasn't too onerous for you. Was it an interesting discussion? Was going through that? I really am asking Susan now. How did you find that process of stepping through that survey?
I felt the survey was pretty well organized and pretty straightforward. It was not a difficult thing to go through.
Good. Good. Did you find in reading it that you learned some things you didn't know? Although if you've been with us a
Yeah.
long time, you may know a great deal about what the state does, but
Yeah, there were some things that I didn't realize.
well, thank you for doing that, and we'll see where that takes us. One of the things that seems to be emerging is certainly a request for some resources. We hear loud and clear about directors and officers insurance, and we are looking into that. It's more challenging than you think because insurance companies do not want to insure 20 separate boards of directors. It's challenging, but we're looking at it. So more to come on all of that. So strategic priorities. The third one really is this focus on membership and leadership development. And Tricia, you've been sharing with me that your membership has been growing. I will tell you at the state level, across Washington state, we have over 700 new members since February of this year. And what we know is that gives real challenge. It's good news and it's challenging news because now you have to figure out how you bring those people in and and you have work they can do, but bringing them in, getting them up to speed, making them feel a part of your league, and then sustaining that's real work. So we've done a couple of things already. There is a new membership affinity group, which is really designed for folks who are wrestling with this to come together and talk about best practices and what are you doing in your league and how are you doing that. And MELD it's a part of that as well. But I sense in this result that we're going to be maybe seeing opportunities to do more and better training for all of you. So things are emerging from that survey, but we really recognize membership and leadership development is critical. Enhancing internal and external communications. And you see the subtext tell a clear, powerful, ongoing story of effective civic engagement, education, and advocacy. And I hope you've seen some change in our communications. We added, as you know, the Resisting Threats to Democracy newsletter, and that's now going to be coming out twice a month. We have two other newsletters. One is the monthly In League, and that just goes to league members. And we've really been, Deanne Finken, our board member, is working on that, is just committed to trying to tell stories and tell your stories more and better so that we can share what you're doing across the state with local leagues. So there's In League. And then we had been doing the Evergreen Voter every month. And the Evergreen Voter goes to both all of our members and about 3,000, 4,000 external folks who are interested in the league. So we've changed that a bit. And now instead of trying to do that every month, we're going to do it every other month. And again, focusing on rich, big stories that we really want to share with the broader community. So we're really trying to be very thoughtful about how we're doing communications. And finally, increasing statewide community outreach and engagement. And this really, seeing national say focus on partnerships aligns exactly with what the state league said. And you see the subtext here, build deep, true, sustainable partnerships with democracy allies across Washington state. And you may or may not know that the state league has a whole list of coalition statewide organizations that we work with, and that is everything from environmental and climate change groups to social justice groups to folks in the democracy realm. So it's pretty wide, but we are looking at adding. In fact, this last year we just added a formal coalition with Washington Immigration Solidarity Network, and that is in direct response to what we're seeing happening across the country with our immigrant population. So we are looking at our relationships. And again, as I mentioned to you, we encourage you to think broadly about your relationship and partnerships. So these are our 5 strategic priorities. We're holding ourselves to it. And hopefully you're already seeing maybe some things being put in place in response to this. Any thoughts or comments about this or any questions? you got to have a focus, right? Go ahead.
It's a good list. It's a very good list. It's been carefully thought out, I can tell. I applaud you for this work.
Yeah. And I will tell you, it was full consensus of the board. I mean, we had a full day's retreat, and we really worked. It was facilitated. We had a great facilitator, and it got us to a point where we could say, yeah, we believe in this. We'll hold on to this. Okay. Other things that have been happening at the state level. So I told you what's happening in national. Well, so what have we been doing at the state level, again, in response to defending democracy? You're getting the Resisting Threats to Democracy newsletter. Another one just came out an hour and a half ago. I'm assuming you've all read it and have it committed to memory. There'll be a test at the end. We have new pages on the website for Resisting Threats to Democracy. There's an external facing page. You can go deeper, and there's an internal page for members. Oh, by the way, have any of you tried to log on recently to the membership section of the State League?
No,
Anybody have? See, you don't even.
I haven't.
There's so much on that website. Oh my goodness. But I want to let you know we made a change, because it used to be that when you went there, you had to have a password, and we had to be sure that password was in our database, and nobody ever knew what their password was. And so, nobody ever got in. So here's what we did. We copied national. If you've gone to the national website, have you ever gone to the league management section of the national website? Doesn't make you log in. It just says anyone can actually go there, but it says this is an internal page and please don't share this information. So if you go to the state league and you log on to the members only section, there's a little box there that says, I certify that I'm a member of the League of Women Voters. And you check a little box and say, yep, I'm telling you I am. And in you go. You don't need a password.
Yeah,
and so we've made that easier.
I guess I have been there because I remember checking the box. So
see, and that's new. You don't have
it
to.
Works.
Yeah, it seems to work. I mean, at least it says, all right, come on, you got to admit. Now, honestly, before we did that, we took a look at the website and said, is there anything here that really is proprietary? And the only thing on that members only section that was proprietary was we had a list of members and leaders and with a whole lot of email addresses and phone numbers. We took that off. You get that now by just emailing Amy. If you want it, there's a place where you can go to and it says, please email Amy Peloff and she'll send it to you. And actually she updates that monthly and sends it out monthly. So presidents should be getting it. So we're not sharing your emails. That it just goes to state leaders. So that was the only thing that was proprietary. We said, why are we being so secret? All right, other things going on. Were you all aware that the federal government asked our Secretary of State, Steve Hobbs, to please share proprietary private voter information at the federal level? Did you know that?
Yes.
And he said no. And we actually, when that came out, we actually wrote him a letter and applauded him for that. And first of all, encouraged him to do it. He didn't do it because of us, but he said no. And interestingly enough, there is now, and our state league, we signed on to a national letter with a number of coalition partners saying, this is wrong. You do not get to have this information. So right now, if Tricia and Paul, you can sign on to that letter. The deadline is like today, so it may have passed. But I did want to let you know that we opened it up to say if you meant to sign on and you didn't, you can sign on. But we signed on for the state. So our name is on there. So that was for release of information. We have also signed on to a letter to the Election Assistance Commission. Presidents knew about this. There was a proposed rule that would demand documentary proof of citizenship at the national level. We signed on to a letter saying, no, that's not needed. And of course, you're all aware of this IL 126, the Decline to Sign campaign. There is an article in the Resisting Threats newsletter today that might be sort of interesting for you all to know about. What we had told everyone that there was a very concerted effort to do initiative signing across the state about 2 weeks ago. A national speaker was brought in, and initiative signing campaigns that's part of democracy. absolutely you can do that. But I went to the rally, the signing rally in Marysville, because they held one in Snohomish County. And I wanted to hear what the argument was. And I was distressed that there was actually no argument given for it, other than a general statement that you cannot trust our voting processes. And afterwards, I spoke with the head of the state GOP was there, Jim Walsh, and I introduced myself, President of League of Women Voters, and I asked him. I said, I really was distressed that you gave no rationale for the need for this. And what he said to me was that Secretary of State Hobbs told him that there were 33,000 non-citizens registered to vote in Washington State. So we reached out to Secretary of State Hobbs and we said, this was said to us. And it was said in a public place. We were chatting afterwards, right? 6 or 7 people around. And they responded and said, we have never spoken with Mr. Walsh about this issue. That information is incorrect. And here's what they told us. In 2024, in the 2024 election, at the state identified 0.0005% of ballot returns that were in some way questionable. And this isn't signature gathering. This is in some way, something was off on these. 0.0005 translates into 198 ballots. Statewide, in a 4 million ballot election that had something of question, and then those were sent to the local auditors to be resolved. So I'm telling you that because I want to tell you there is no incidence at all of non-citizens voting. And I think, as you know, in this 126, should it pass, there's a potential for 1.6 million women to be thrown off voter rolls, because you will have to go back and you will have to prove, if you don't have an enhanced driver's license, you'll have to prove that you're a citizen and that the name you currently have, oh, by the way, if that's different from your birth certificate name, you need to prove that it's you. And if not, you will not be able to vote in 2027. So that's what this is doing. And we are really fighting against it. And should they get enough signatures, what we suspect will happen is that it will be on the ballot a year from now, because the legislature will not take action. So I tell you, these are very real threats to democracy, and we are working on them. Okay. Other things for you. Speaking of trainings, there's things going on. I hope you've been seeing this, the whole Democracy Power Up series. Coming up, a new training was just added, and this literally in the past week, we just sent out an email about this, a look inside the Northwest Detention Center in Tacoma, Pierce County. And if you'd like to know more about what's actually happening, that is the Federal Detention Center in Washington State is in Tacoma. And this is December 16th. You can find this on the event calendar on the state website. Register to attend. There's a bit of proprietary information in this, so we're actually not going to record it. So I encourage you to send somebody to listen to it. So that is a training coming up December 16th. That's next week. And then in 2026, lots of stuff going on, just because you needed something else to do. This is really for information only. There is a Democracy Lobby Day happening. There's a coalition of folks working in the democracy space, and we are a part of that coalition. And they are actually having an in-person lobby day focusing just on democracy, proposed democracy legislation, like the Voices Act, which includes the opportunity to have ranked choice voting. So that's an in-person lobby day. I'm going. Allison McCaffrey is going. We're going to do that. But our lobby week is the next week. And so, Tricia, you were saying they talked about this in MELD. And this is our opportunity as league members to talk with our representatives for our counties. So there'll be, you'll read it in the newsletter that just came out. We're going to give you a whole lot more information. There'll be training around this, but the idea is that you would schedule, or you could ask the State League to help, but schedule individual appointments with your representatives. What legislative district Are you in?
We're nine, the ninth.
You're 9. Okay.
Yeah.
And just you just have one in your league area. Do you just have the one legislative district, congressional? And this is state district. So it's state LD9. You just have the one. So
Correct.
really,
That's
you're
it.
looking at scheduling 3 meetings,
Right. We have,
one
yeah,
with each of your reps and one with your senator.
exactly.
And I really encourage local leagues to do that because we need to be building our relationships with our representatives. And so making the phone call saying this week of January 26th, could we meet with our legislator? They're used to this. They do this all the time.
Right.
And we will have a legislative agenda, and you will need to focus on 3 or 4 bills that you want to talk to your legislature about. So we'll give you training on that, but it's very important for us to be in this space doing this work. So that is our lobby week, January 26th to the 30th. Lots of information is going to be coming out about it. And then 2 more trainings. If you've been watching this the whole training by our media literacy folks, these are fabulous trainings. And there's 2 more coming up. One on January 20th, techniques used to sway opinion. And on February 24th, get to know artificial intelligence. If you're not terrified enough now, wait till you start thinking about artificial intelligence. So lots of trainings coming up.
Yeah, I'll say.
Yeah. So things to do and share it with your members. And even if one person went, they can come back and maybe share what they've learned. So there's that. Other ways to be involved. Here's a challenge for us. Beatrice Crane, who has managed our Vote 411 process for the last 4 or 5 years, is stepping down. So we are looking for a new Vote 411 project manager, and been talking with the voter services team and other folks, and I'm talking with presidents about, I think we need to have a serious conversation about Vote 411. So we are looking for a project manager to step up, and we need to do some thinking about Vote 411 in Washington State. Reminder, now I know you're doing your student contest. There is a student video contest. You can find more on the state website. Kind of fun, how encouraging students to do a 30-second or a 60-second video on a democracy issue. So that's ways to connect. And then there are affinity groups. And I want to be sure you're aware of this, because these are great opportunities for your members to connect up with other members across the state. And there's the MELD, and Tricia participates in MELD. You had a meeting. Did you say was it today? Was your MELD meeting? Yep. She's on mute.
So we are Pod 2, and Paul and I represent Pullman.
Thank you. Yep.
And we meet every second Thursday at 4:00.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Good sharing with other league leaders across the state. This new membership affinity group that I mentioned is meeting the first Thursday of the month at 6:30. So if you've got someone working on your membership saying, what the heck do I do? Have them join that. Have them come once a month and get some great ideas.
I'm pretty sure we do have someone who happens to be membership chair and our treasurer who is aware.
There you go.
Of
there you
that
go.
Group. Yeah.
And the treasurers meet, and that is a great affinity group. If you've got questions about anything having to do with your treasurer and how they're tracking dollars, great to join that group. And then the voter services team meets the second Wednesday at 4:30. And now this is new, is as part of those strategic focus areas that I told you about, if we're thinking about coalition and outreach, we really have 2 of our board members who are focusing on diversity, equity, and inclusion, and what that really means and looks like for the league. And I will tell you with absolute certainty, we are in no way shying away from using those words. Diversity, equity, and inclusion, they are in our bylaws. They are a piece of what we do. They are foundational to who the league is. And so we're going to be doing some training and work about it. So we're beginning a new DEI affinity group. They're Norman and Stormin now. They're just figuring it all out. But I want you to know, because if this is something that interests you, or maybe one of your new members coming in is interested in that, let's have them join that group and think across the state about what that means for us.
Who would they contact, Karen? if they were
They
interested.
they can contact me, but the two board members that are doing that are Robbie Soltz, who is in Kittitas County, and
Mhm.
Sasha Bentley, who is in Klickitat-Skamania. Those are the
Okay.
two board members who are leading that work.
Yeah.
And we'll be putting out, you'll see a lot. We're going to try to remind folks over and over. And of course, you are always invited to attend at any time our stunningly fascinating 4-hour board meetings that happen once a month. And seriously, though, you are all welcome. And we are having really good, rich discussions in those board meetings. But I want you to know those agendas are always posted. They're open to any members, the link's available to you, and you are always welcome to come and see what the heck your board is doing at the state level.
Yes, we have a
Okay.
Pullmanite on the board.
Well,
and
you do, Allie
we
Welch.
do.
Allie
Yeah, that's
Welch.
right.
And yep.
Heinrich
And
now.
and Allie is also Heinrich. Yes, Allie Welch Heinrich.
Yeah.
And she has been working with us. I didn't mention the work we're doing on the state we're in. There's a lot going on, my friends. If you haven't noticed, have you noticed? There's a whole lot we're doing too with our textbook, the state we're in. And which, by the way, as far as we can see, is being used in a minimum of over 40 school districts across Washington state. And so we have a team, and Deb Olson is helping with this. We have a team that is looking at that. And we just got board permission to do a survey of all of the teachers who are using that resource to really find out, first of all, how are you using it? In what way? Tell us what is helpful to you about it and tell us how we can make it better. So we're about to launch that survey, and that is all by means of saying, how do we manage that work appropriately? Because that is a huge resource that the league is producing. And we want to be sure that we have touch points with the teachers that are using it and that we are maintaining that as a really useful civics education book. So that's going on. Okay, discussions. So my question is, I talked to you about our newsletters. Are you reading our newsletters? Is anybody reading them?
Yeah.
Deb's reading. Paul is.
Maybe not every single word, but
know.
yeah.
We're trying to be thoughtful about what we share with you. And then we encourage you to just cut and paste and lift if you want to, share that then out with your own members. And I'm now getting copies of a number of local leagues newsletters, and I love seeing that information just flow down. Because if you know anything about communication, in these busy times, you need to hear something, 7 times before it even sinks in? Seriously. So reading things multiple times is good. Okay. And here's my big question. How are you? How are you seriously right now? Because really and what questions do you have for me? This is the end of my presentation for you. And so I'll stop sharing. And I'm open for your questions, but I'm really curious to hear from you. How are you? How are you doing?
I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
I'm the key person organizing a Martin Luther King Jr. celebration in our community on January 25th, which involves reaching out to as many faith communities as I can possibly contact
excellent.
and trying to get them to be committed to be part of the celebration in terms of a speaking role.
Yep.
So it's kind of like herding chickens. You think you've got 10 or 12 people and all of a sudden only 6 showed up at the meeting. And so what does that mean? And so I spent all morning follow-up emails, follow-up texts, where were you? And blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, you in or you out?
We don't want it to be a bunch of white people who are sitting around celebrating Martin Luther King. So we're trying to make it a very diverse group.
That's fabulous. Is the league actually managing that day? Is the league responsible for it, or is there a group of folks? The churches are. Okay, the churches are. Great.
My church is this year. It's our
okay.
Church. The Lutheran Church is doing it this year.
That's great. Yep. Yeah, you're right. Do you have an NAACP in Pullman area? You don't.
No.
Okay. Yeah. Yep.
Just word of mouth. Where do African people worship? Where do the Islamic people worship?
Yes.
And then reaching out to people who don't know me and trying
Yes, it's huge work. Oh, Libby, bravo to you.
Well,
Yeah, I know. Don't give up.
yeah, I won't, no.
Yeah.
Don't you
No,
have,
Doing
don't
it
you,
on
you don't have a
basically
committee?
zero budget. We don't have money to cater it or to do,
yeah,
and I think that sends the wrong message anyway to people who are coming together. Oh, look at all the money they have. This is
no.
being catered by so-and-so and so-and-so. I mean, that's not the message I want to put out there.
Yeah.
So,
Are you doing any kind of a march or, a community gathering with the speaker and some of those kinds of things?
well, all kinds of things are going on in Pullman.
Good.
So we're kind of late on the hit parade. So we're doing ours not until the 25th because we won't be conflicting with anybody. We're having a gospel choir that's from
Nice.
campus, provides a lot of the music. And yeah,
Nice.
and we even
Yeah.
got the Islamic imam on board today and
Ah,
sent me what he wants to speak to. And we have to be very careful, that we're not a Christian focused only group. And
absolutely.
there's a
Absolutely.
Jewish leader, very, very involved. And
Good.
yeah,
Well,
I
speaking
need
of
to,
DEI, you're there. You're doing the work. That's exactly the work.
well, yeah, I'm trying, Karen. Yeah.
Yeah, well done. No, well done. And that, I'll tell you, that is, I think that's one of that kind of leadership is exactly what we need to be doing. And I know how tough that is. You're hurting wonderful cats everywhere. And
we have a save the date flyer, and when
Good.
at our league meeting on Saturday, I'm taking 12 copies so that people have something they can take home, so that they
Good.
can put it someplace safe and say, okay,
Good.
January 25th, 4 o'clock, I need to be at this church. I need to show support for this work.
That's excellent. Absolutely. Are you doing, is there tabling or anything going on with all the various organizations? Are you?
No, I'm trying to keep my arms around this. It's coming out of a particular group that I've been a member of called Interfaith Connections.
Oh,
And
yeah. Yeah.
I don't want every social justice group in Pullman to be there. And we're trying to make it be an interfaith without using that word in an offensive manner. We're trying to, there are all kinds of other protests and things going on. So this is kind of a unique setup.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
I would think the term interfaith, help to you.
Pardon me?
Are you,
You're cutting out.
that using the term interfaith would not be a challenging term to use. Are you finding that it is?
Well, one person on the planning committee had talked to one person who doesn't belong to a faith community who probably won't come because that word was used.
Ah, I see.
However,
So
the last
yeah.
time there was one of these gatherings, the Catholics used it and they had over 100 people come. So
Yeah.
I don't know that we should have a knee-jerk reaction to one person who's
Yeah.
No.
by the word interfaith.
You shouldn't.
It really captures what we're trying to do here. Talk across our different faith communities.
Yes. Yes.
Susan, did you have a comment?
Oh, I was just going to say that in terms of the newsletters and stuff, I really like the one that comes out and gives you specific things you can do right now. And
that's the resisting threats. Yeah, resisting threats to democracy. Right, right.
And then the legislative newsletter is just
yes,
a wonderful, amazing thing.
And we will suspend the resisting threats during the legislative session because that legislative newsletter is so dense, right?
Yeah.
And it's going to tell you, here's the bill,
right.
comment,
it gives
click.
You stuff right off the top. It tells you what's the most important right now. So.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
That is so helpful, really. Because you're being asked to weigh in on the different pieces of legislation, and
yes.
It's good to have it all in one place where you can I think you need to check it all the time because
I agree.
I'm going to put an article in the next newsletter. I asked Anne if that would be okay, because there are people in league who don't come to the board meetings and maybe don't know about it. And I want to be sure everybody at least knows about it.
Is that in
yes.
time for lobby week or no?
Hmm?
Is the next newsletter in time for lobby week?
I don't know.
Okay.
But we've been saying it too in the resisting threats. And so, but yes, and anybody, by the way, that legislative newsletter, anyone can sign up for. You don't need to be a league member because we want folks to be tracking what's happening in this session and to click and say and comment pro and con, or just, it's so simple, isn't it? Pro, con, your name is there and we're adding volume, in capacity. So
yeah, it's
just
great.
The information, if you're interested in any particular area, you can focus on the information in that
yes.
area.
Yes, exactly. If climate is where you want to focus, what's going on, and those issue chairs will be giving you direction.
Right.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad that's helpful. And we made it was a capacity decision to say we can't do both resisting threats and the legislative newsletter. So it's a short session. It'll just be the legislative newsletter. If something breaks that you all need to know about, we'll send out a separate action alert, in that resisting threats realm. But I think at that point, pivoting to working with the legislator is the right thing to do for those 2 months.
Yeah, makes sense.
So Libby's exhausted. What about the rest of you? How are you feeling?
How about Roger? Roger, we haven't heard from you. He's finding his unmute button right now. No, he's
Yes.
not going to find it. See,
Oh,
he
there
found
it is. There you go.
I just like the newsletters because they keep me. I'm like when you talked about like how sincere and prompt the statements are from like national. I mean that inspires me. And usually I just listen in on local meetings. I've written to our representatives trying to they don't reply.
Mm.
So yeah, I always skim the newsletters because it's motivating to me to see what people are up to. So
And I appreciated your saying that sort of that clear, direct, here's where we are, here's what you can do, that lifts you up a bit, that's,
yeah. Mhm.
yeah.
There's no it's interesting because we're nonpartisan, but like the statement about the constitutional crisis,
Mhm.
like I mean this event in our local newspaper, is advertised as come learn what you can do about the constitutional crisis, which is really strong language, but I mean, I
It
think it's
is.
accurate. Um, so I don't know. I think it's cool to actually, you know, have clear language about something.
Mhm.
An opposing, not an opposing, but there's a letter in the newspaper today advertising an event, and it's a group I can't remember the name of, but and their goal is to get people together and talk, and I just really think that's not a fruitful avenue right now. I think the league's position of being clear and trying to get representatives to consider what they're up to is a much more fruitful avenue.
Mm.
So,
That's interesting. I want to say two things about that. In terms of getting people to talk, one of the things that I'm learning, and by the way, I'm also a member of Braver Angels. And I think that,
oh,
and they have done, I think, wonderful work. And maybe that's who was advertising, wonderful work in teaching us how to be in conversation and how to disagree. And I've appreciated I appreciate what they do. But one of the reasons that I went to, I mentioned to you, I went to this rally in Marysville because I wanted to hear what was being said. And I am working very hard when I'm working with folks who think differently than I do, I'm working very hard to listen for what it is that really is their motivating. What are they really responding to? And I was really listening in that meeting of, this is the I-126 elections aren't accurate. And because when you hear what someone's afraid of, that's a place that you can find common ground. And what I heard from people in that room was that they care a whole lot that our elections are fair and accurate and transparent. I mean, that's if you want to say, why are you here? What are you worried about? They're worried about that. Now, they're not getting good information about the truth of it, but I can find common ground with that because the league also cares deeply that our elections are fair and accurate and transparent, right?
Sure.
So if you can find some some platform to stand on, it can help with conversation because we can agree that that's true. So that sometimes rather than just pushing back and saying, oh, you're wrong, you can say, I appreciate that you care about that because I really care about it too. Can I tell you some of the information that I know
yeah.
can I share that with you? So anyway, I think learning how to have conversation is good. And if we are not taking strong stances in an advocacy work, we're not living our mission. Empowering voters and defending democracy means that you have to be out there doing work. Yeah.
Karen, the other role that Roger plays for our league is he is the coordinator of our Observer Corps.
Oh, I saw that on your website.
Yeah,
Bravo. How
yeah,
many folks are working in your how many observers do you have?
Only 5 right now.
But you've got what I think, Tricia, you said, are you about 80 members? You're growing?
No, we're
45
what are we
members?
now, Paul? More like 45.
45 members?
-ish.
Okay. You got 10% of your membership being observers. Think about that. That's darn good. You know?
I try not to, the number of observers went down quite a bit in the last couple of years, and I'm trying not to get hung up on that. I thought that was my first need was to refill the ranks, which is really hard to do, and we probably had like 4 people more than 4. Yeah, and so, but I mean, that's just, I don't know. There's things I can do that don't require placing an observer. A lot of meetings are recorded now.
That's true. That's true.
I review a lot of meetings, and I don't file a report, but I don't know. And then I'm talking to our local group. Like I said, and people here know this, but I'm seeing a trend in meetings where rules of order always seem to limit public comment, and that's something I think needs to be studied. And funny thing, this is why what you're saying about common language or finding common ground is good. So, we discussed that at our annual general meeting a year or 2 ago, and one person said, well, the thing to do is to go to each agency, ask them about their rules of order, and see if they want to participate in an educational program. Or I was like, really? I mean, that work daunts me. I'm like, wow, but that's also super productive. The people like Libby, and I could name other people who do that kind of work and make things happen. And that's my impression of Libby. She might.
Well, I was trained at the university to make things happen.
There you go. There you go.
So
along those, we're thinking of having FFA students come talk to us about Robert's rules and and because they're studying that, and how cool would that be to have some students do a training?
Well, it's interesting because what you're talking about, I had a colleague when I was working who always said, she said, first of all, focus is your friend. And she also said, good process can create good results. And so I'm actually a believer in a good process. But what I love about Observer Corps, what it makes me think about, Roger, is you may have, of these new members that are coming in, not everybody is comfortable being out front. That they're not. Don't ask me I'm not sure I want to be the one that calls my legislature. I'm not sure I want to be the one that does that. But I find often league members, they do like to learn and be informed. And I think about Observer Corps as an incredible learning experience. If you can get them to go to the school board meeting or your county council. Do you have a county council? What's your
commission? We have a county commission.
You have a county commission. So are they going to those meetings, to your city council? All of a sudden, you got someone they're learning and bringing back information to you. So I think there's a real place for Observer Corps. And are you aware that there are some leagues that are taking those Observer Corps reports and they send them to their local newspaper? Because the local newspaper, they cannot cover in any way all of these meetings. So if it's a very factual statement of, here's what was discussed and here's what was decided. If you have that kind of good reporting, maybe your local paper would find that to be helpful. So things to think about, things to think about.
What we do is the reports are they are displayed on our website.
Yes, so which is great. Yep.
People can go in and take a look if they're so inclined and see those reports. The one that's really a hot ticket right now is
Yeah.
our county planning commission.
Oh, yeah.
They have been dealing with wind energy for months
Yes.
and months.
2 years.
And are we still in a moratorium, Roger, with that?
Yes, so
Yeah.
the county commission extended it because the planning commission hasn't come up with a draft ordinance.
No, they haven't given them any recommendation.
Yeah,
Mm.
I know.
Oh,
I
it's
wonder if the company's going to walk away, but
well, I've expected them to do that a long time ago,
Oh,
but
you have a company that is trying to get permitting to put
yes,
in to wind
Yeah.
power, and
correct.
the county council is they're just all dithering around about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. See, that's fast. That's actually fascinating stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
I get to read after Rogers through looking at them, and I have learned so much about wind energy.
yes.
I'll bet. I'll bet. That's what's fascinating about this. Yeah, and maybe more than you ever wanted to know about permitting and streets and waste management and
And the number of feet you have to be away from the next structure and
setbacks and oh yeah,
Yeah.
planning
Past-
commission is fun stuff.
In the past, we've had pretty good results getting brand new members to be on the Observer Corps because
Yeah,
it's something where you don't have to say anything. All you have to do is be there or see a recording and write down what happened.
I agree.
So it's a
Yeah.
very easy thing with no challenges about personal relations or saying anything.
Yes, or it's not controversial. You're
Right.
not taking a
Right.
stand. You're really just there to watch and listen and record.
Mhm.
So I think that's great, Roger. So you might, if you can frame it that way for your new members,
Yeah.
some of them might say, "Oh, I'll do that. I've been
Yeah.
wanting to go to the library board and see what the heck they're doing." Okay, great. Yep,
And Deb is our library board representative.
excellent,
Oh, yeah.
excellent. And then I see Gloria is having dinner. I want to know what she's making for dinner because she's been very busy
She
over
is
there.
she's
And
been
Gloria,
very
what does your
busy.
T-shirt say? What it says?
Please
Be patient. I'm from the 1980s. Is that what that says? I
Oh.
can't hear you because you're on mute, but that's okay.
You're muted. No, she's gonna fix it.
She's going to fix it. She's trying.
Yeah. Find
There
that
it
mute
is.
button.
There it
she
is.
It says, I'm from the
1900s. Yes. Really, you think about, I'm from the last century. So you're just going to have to, be patient with me.
Our PBS's signals shirt. I mean, their catalog. They've got a
Yeah.
lot.
I love that catalog. I
Yeah.
get that catalog and I read it and I love their t-shirts. They make me laugh every time. Well, that is great.
Are you baking Christmas cookies? I mean,
No, I'm just working around the house. I have a little doggy that's 15 weeks old that's trying to learn. And
a baby. You got a baby.
yes, and I've had him only for about, I guess I've had him a month now. So yeah, it's learning for both of us. And I saw that I'm actively involved with the organization. I do a lot of Zoom stuff.
Yeah.
And it was great to see that you're recording it. So I wasn't as anxious. I go, okay, I can go back and read this like I do on Substack. I'm a very active Substack. Yeah, I mean, I'm in the fight. I've personally been in the fight for 11 years since my soulmate passed. We came to this area from Southern California to help with rural health care.
Oh.
And sadly, we're in worse shape than when we came in 93. Yes.
Oh, we are seeing it. Do you have a hospital that's going to be closing or do you know?
No.
Yeah, well, yes, Dr. Rushi, who was actually involved in the Idaho side as a representative for some time ago. Anyway, he was able to, before St. Joseph's was sold by the sisters, he was able to set up a funding mechanism so that grants can be applied for every year. And that's, I've been involved with that, not of recent, but yes, he said
Yeah.
About 3 years ago, we had 19 when during COVID, he was very concerned. And I don't know what the numbers are now. We do have St. Mary's. It's between, I'm in Clarkston, and that's up in between us and Pullman.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it's, and that's another consequence too. Well, first of all, obviously we have the Affordable Care Act subsidies that are going away. It's going to throw people off, and what that's doing to Medicaid. And the other thing it's interesting to me is how many of our immigrant population is working in healthcare.
Absolutely.
And I mean, extraordinary, right? And so what are we doing, when they're afraid to leave their homes?
Right.
Really difficult times.
It is completely, it's his agenda. I'm his same age. I've watched him my whole life. So I'm not surprised at all that where we're at. And it's clear that his besties are really our arch enemies. And he is, I believe he cares not about our country or about any of us. So,
and I want to say to that too, as we're talking about the current administration, the league will take a stand against policies that we disagree with, and I don't care who the administration is.
Right.
So it, but this administration is
trying to break
trampling. They're trying to break us. I agree
really
completely.
Are.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be involved with everything that we can. We've got to. I loved hearing some of the conversation about getting the younger people involved. I actually house, they stay at my home for LCSC's international tennis team.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Fun.
We coming from Los Angeles, we played a lot of tennis. We were glad to see that there was the fabulous facility. The coach is really awesome. And he approached us in early 2000. I need you to put kids in your rooms if you can do that. So, yeah.
Oh, that's great. Hey, we're in Los Angeles. Where are you from? I was from Southern California. So where were you from?
We actually lived in Redlands on 10 going towards Palm Springs.
Oh, there you go. And I was out in the San Fernando Valley, so kind of the other end from you there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We actually worked in the San Bernardino. St. Bernardine's Sisters of Charity was a big hospital, the county hospital.
Well, you came up to to God's country, or this is the goddess's country up here,
San Gabriel Valley here.
San Gabriel Valley, there you go. Now it's all coming out. We're all admitting that we're former Californians. Don't hate us. I've been up here 40 years.
Right.
So 44 years. I've been up here more than
I've been here
longer than I was
47 years. So I've
there you go. There you go.
So we're getting close to
yes.
And so I'm wondering, Karen, is there anything else you'd like to share, or any of you?
Well, if any of you want to share, I will. The last thing I will tell you is, with all of this, with all of the work that we are all doing, and I've been telling this to every league, is please never give up your joy.
Right.
Do not let what is happening now take away your joy, because then we've lost everything.
That's right.
So, so what's true is you're working with people who care, we have a shared set of principles that we believe in, and know that you're doing good work, and then always take time to be joyful, because that's what keeps us going. Right.
Right.
Don't lose your joy. Never lose your joy.
That's why I became, Karen, a hospice volunteer, because that gives me joy, and it's like a filter. I don't have to think about what's going on nationally. I'm just thinking about what's going on in this room that I'm in right this minute. What's going on right here.
So, and what a gift doing that work, Libby. Oh my goodness.
Well,
that is really
it's been my
work.
salvation. You don't know this, but I'm a former political science professor. So to see our country being torn to shreds, it was just more than I could handle. So I had to go make a correction, go a different direction.
Yep. So, good for you.
Yeah.
But you're still here. You're here.
I'm here,
right?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
And then we haven't heard from Kimberly. Kimberly, I know you're being in the background, but Kimberly Thompson, I don't know. Kimberly, anything you want to add or say? And I don't want to put you on the spot. I just want to let you know I see you. That's all. And if you have anything to add, please do.
I can't see her.
Nope. I just see
No,
it's just a
no,
name.
we-
I just see the name.
Exactly. And she's
Yeah.
muted, so.
And that's
yeah.
okay. I'm just glad you're here, Kimberly. I want to let you know that. So that's really what I have for all of you, and to know that it is not going to get better for a while.
No.
And that's just the truth of it. And I think back to what I was fighting for in the late 1960s and 70s and what we've
Right.
lived through. And nothing that was ever worth it happened overnight. And I think we're in this battle for the long haul. So we're going to take the wins we can get. We're going to hold each other up. We're going to keep our joy. We're going to work together, and we're going to try to pass on something to the next folks, because we're always right. We're standing on the shoulders of those that came before us. So
Absolutely.
that's what we're doing.
And I'm just thinking about why there's been this influx of new members in the
Mhm.
league. I think it's because people are tired of feeling helpless
Yep.
and powerless.
Yep.
And I think they see, once they do a little, investigating about the league, they see this as a way that they can be involved and contribute and have a voice. And I think right now people are hungry for those
Mhm.
opportunities. So it does not surprise me that these memberships are increasing around the
No.
state.
I agree. It's in direct response to what is
Yes.
happening
Yes. They're
nationally.
finally figuring it out. We are really in a difficult spot, and that's a good thing to see. Unfortunately, we have, as I said to everybody, I guess if we have to go back to school and learn our founding history, we need to do that.
Yep.
And bring in everybody. I mean, I haven't had the opportunity to watch the oh my God, our revolution, the American Ken Burns.
Ken
Oh, Ken
Burns. Ken
Burns.
Burns,
I
American
am
Revolution.
trying
Yeah,
to
it's
push that to
beautiful. It's
everybody.
stunning.
It is so
yes,
good. So
I'm
good.
And it reminds us how complicated and complex and messy
it is.
and dangerous all of this work is, and how you got to hang in there. You just got to hang in there.
Absolutely.
So even if the gift you give to somebody else is saying, you know what, we're going to keep at this, that gift of saying we're standing together on this.
Keep forward, going
Yeah.
forward.
Keep working it. Yep. So I thank you for what you do, and keep going forward, right?
Right.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Karen. It was a great presentation.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Okay.
much, Karen, for being with us tonight. Really
Oh,
appreciate
it's just
it.
my pleasure. And again, we are the league.